So let's say I'm thirsty and I look at that glass of water, and part of what happens when I look at the glass of water is that my eyes activate this directly. So, you know, I've already talked to you to some degree about how your eyes work, right? There's patterns there out there in the world. The patterns are mapped onto the retina, so it's a pattern display matrix. And then that pattern is propagated along the optic nerve, and then that pattern manifests itself in the visual cortex, and then that pattern manifests itself in the motor cortex, and it manifests itself in bodily movement or preparation for bodily movement. Technically, you don't need conscious imagery for that to happen. Now, that's something really useful to know, is that your eyes can activate your body without you being aware of the image, because you think, there's the world, I see it, then I determine how to act. It's like, yes, but also no. There's the world, and seeing it prepares me to act. Forget about the damn imagery. So when I look at that cup, part of the act of looking at it is preparing that gesture, and that's especially the case if I also happen to be thirsty, because if I'm thirsty, the cup signifies something that I can use to quench my thirst, which makes it a very different thing than what it is when it's empty or when I'm not thirsty. So I'm not even going to use the same part of my brain to perceive it, because it's not the same thing in relationship to me. So I look at it, and then just understanding the size of it, there's not much difference between understanding the size of it and doing this. So, you know, let's see how I got that. So that's pretty good. So that's my when you ask, well, what does it mean to understand something? Well, that's what it means. Insofar as this is a cup, because it could be tinder for lighting a fire, for example, or something to stomp on to make a noise. Insofar as it's a cup, then understanding it means pattern mapping it onto exactly this. And if I do that successfully, then I get a little reward, a little hint, a little kick of dopamine. And that dopamine makes me feel a little bit better, but it also bathes the neural tissue that I use to make that perceptual, to structure that perception, and also to undertake that act. And it makes it just a little bit more likely that I'll see it that way and act that way in its presence again. And that's how you learn, right? You lay out a perceptual scheme, it's got a goal. If the perceptual scheme and its associated action patterns make the goal manifest itself, then you get a little burst of positive emotion, click. Then that makes it, the neural circuits that instantiated that thrive a little bit.